This is Clean at Work with John Barrett and Sarah Bacca.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this next episode of Clean at Work.
Woo!
We have a surprise woo because we get excited.
Yeah.
And we get the timing wrong sometimes, and that's okay. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with my friend Mark Prather, who is actually a local here to Orlando. I think we originally met at a local lean coffee back when we were doing those in person. And got to know each other through that organization. And then we both worked for Dr. Evil together, as I affectionately call that company, for a little bit. So welcome to the show, Mark.
Hey, thank you guys.
So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you've been up to lately to help frame what we're going to talk about for our listeners?
Yeah. I was working for a different big conglomerate company that had a massive layoff about beginning of the year. So I've been out of a job since then. So I've been using a lot of odd jobs. Right now, I'm going for a graduate degree in an MBA program for IT management. And to kind of pay my bills, I've also been doing handyman work for family and friends. And just recently started filing for my own consultancy, or what I'm going to start calling corporate therapy,
Oh,
where I'm aiming for facilitating business owners being able to help themselves. So using kind of a clean language philosophy to help people instead of coming in like a consultant saying you need to do it this way.
mm,
Uh, so that's what I've been doing for the past year-ish.
cool.
Uh,
So how would you say that clean language has influenced the job interviews, networking, and stuff that you've been up to with that?
there's a lot of it where I'm going through and uh, I'll start off with a clean setup, a lot in interviews and stuff like that. I can't do it in the full clean. You can't come in with the full clean language models on it, but like, hey man, what are some of the things that you would really like to get out of this interview? What are the things that you're really looking for? And for that to happen, what kind of conversation should we be having? Do you want me to go over my resume a little bit more? Do you want me to go over my personal status for it? And what would you need to get from me so that I can make and assuage your fears for this position? So there's a lot of that kind of questioning and trying to put the person at ease and let them be in charge. Um, I find it's more really helpful with the handyman work where I'm going in and talking to people about, well, I need to get this fixed. Okay, well, what's causing the issue there? And then we can get down into, well, I need to repaint the entire house. Maybe you just need to clean the walls a little bit or something like that. And we get down to what the actual problem is and like, hey, what happens? Well, when I touch this, when I touch the fridge, this happens. Well, what happens before that? And
Mm,
what happens before that? And using some of the clean language questions to get
Mm.
them to understand where they're coming from and take myself out of it as much as possible. So that's been really very interesting and using both of those to try to help facilitate instead of steer a conversation.
wow.
Yeah,
Okay, so kind of like get to the root cause of the work that they actually need doing rather than
yeah,
what they initially saying. I was thinking, does that you also try and move them to like a more of an outcome based approach as well? Because quite often, customers come and say, I want this output. But actually, it might be, you know, I want to be cooler in the summer would be the outcome, right? Other than put an air conditioning unit in this exact place in my house.
yeah. I find that also helps get them into that agile idea of incremental design and stuff like that, where it's like, I want to be cooler in the summer. Well, if you try to fan, that'll be a lot cheaper
Might
than
be
a
a bit
full AC
cheaper.
unit.
I'm not sure a
Um,
fan would cut it in Florida from my experience in August, Mark, but
I definitely don't.
But we should try, I suppose.
That's kind of the thing, is getting them down to what's something that's cheaper that we can try first.
Hmm.
Let's get you down to something that's reasonable and see what you guys actually want, what you guys actually need. Um,
Yeah, maybe test
especially
out
with,
like a mobile unit first, right? Mobile aircon unit,
oh yeah.
something like that.
I had to do one recently at a pottery studio where I was putting in one of those units, and they called me over for just putting up some wood to block the rest of the window. And I got there, and the AC unit was still in the packaging. So I was uh, wound up having to install the AC unit, put the everything together, reinstall everything like that, and I was just like, this feels a lot like corporate America, where I was told one thing and then that job got scope creeped beyond belief. But going through it, I did understand what they wanted out of it and
Yeah.
what they really needed. So I went and got all the supplies and did the things that they actually needed. But it was one of those, oof,
That's a lot
if I
bigger.
had had a little more time and a little more uh, clean questions to begin with, I might have figured out what they
Mm,
actually needed and what they actually wanted.
Yeah.
yeah. And how do your customers take it when you start interrogating their decisions?
That's one of the things that I'm actually very happy with the clean language model about, is because it isn't so interrogative
Mm,
for me. It's cool. Uh, explain to me what your problem is. Tell me where your frustrations are. Give me the emotional parts of it. How does this make you feel? Where is this coming from? And people, I think, are very happy to unload, to get their frustrations out and be like, I just can't with this. I don't know where I have time to do that. And that really puts me into a point where it's like, okay, well, let's do it together. That way you know how to do it next time.
Mm.
And coming in as a regular consultant and saying, this is how you should do it, is so much easier than facilitating having them learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm going in there and trying to set up everything, get everything. The My significant other right now is repainting her house. She just got her place back, and they primed all the walls, but they didn't paint any of them. So we've been painting a lot of that, and a lot of the times I grew up with two parents that flipped houses and a grandfather that sold them. So I've painted a few walls in my day. Um, and there's a lot of I'm setting up the brushes and helping her understand how to do the bit, and she's picking it up super quickly because like painting a wall is painting a wall. But there's a lot more to that than me just telling her go away. I'll paint this for you, because I want her to understand how to do it and to feel like it's her house and all of those things. And using a lot of the some of the clean language stuff, even with her, though I'm very careful not to get into the emotional stuff because there's very dangerous things. That's one of the things that I do worry about using it at work, is because it quickly
mm,
leads into things that I should have a therapeutic license to even touch.
Hmm.
yeah.
Um, but facilitating her learning how to do something, I find that clean language is beautiful for setting that up. Well, what do you want the room to look like? And for the room to feel like that, what would you need to be? What would the room need to be? Because yeah, she was, let's go pick up the paint, and I'm like, what color do you want? Well, we'll figure it out when we get there. And I'm like, you can help me pick it out. Remember, I'm colorblind. I will not be helping you pick out colors.
I
So she's
was.
got some great colors though, and we've been working
How would
together
you
to do
know?
that. Huh?
How would you know?
That I can't pick out good colors?
No, no, they're great colors that she's picked out.
Oh, because that's what they told me at the store.
Okay, I thought so. Must be true then. You're getting me really nervous, Mark, because I'm getting my loft in the garage boarded on Monday to provide more kind of storage. And I'm now thinking like, oh, I haven't gone through this process, Mark. What if it's all a mistake and I should have done something else?
There is some beautiful apps out there and things like that to get you to what you want to. And like recently, most of the stuff that I've been doing is power watching this old house and going at it with people. I've been repaving things, capping, plumbing, redoing toilets and everything like that, mostly just from I'll watch the video and then we can watch the video together and then we can figure this out together, which I find is so much more rewarding for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Finding clients that are looking for that though, that's a little rough.
Yeah.
Finding
Yeah.
people that want to learn is a little weird.
It's really hard work. We're
Yes.
big DIYers and like it's slow going because when you've got, all of life going on and you're trying to do stuff yourself, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite interesting though, right? Because it's similar to what we try and do in organizations. We don't just go in and
Right.
do the work for them. We are there to help them to become self-managing in the future. So it's an interesting model that I've never seen before, Mark, where it's kind of like, yeah, I'll help you fix this thing, but the key word is help, right? I'm going to support and train you. So next time you don't have to call me anymore. You can just do it yourself.
Yeah. I try to always, most every job, because of the way that Scrum Master work works, I know that I have a limited shelf life at almost any company. There's so many transitions at the top and everything like that. So I always say, usually within the first couple of weeks, so like I know I've got about 9 months with you guys. What can I do to make your guys' lives easier, even when I'm gone? And that's the stuff that we work on. Is not the how do I make you more Scrum efficient or anything like that. It's the how do I get it so that you guys understand what it is that will make your job easier.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you've learned anything from your handyman stuff using the clean language questions that will change how you Scrum Master when and if you get a Scrum Master job?
Yeah, very much so. I think there's a lot of um, helping people understand what they're looking for, helping talking about, hey, what is this going on and things like that. And it allows me to kind of break down some of the ceremony so that I've been really big on trying to make things more asynchronous. I think the Scrum Master role is much more meeting heavy than it used to be and much more meeting heavy than it should be. So if I can go in and during before a retrospective, talk with somebody and have some clean language stuffs about the things that blew up, and then we take a note and we can bring that up in the retrospective, it makes it a little bit easier. There's a lot of using the clean language model to coach with your product owner. What are you trying to get out of this? I understand that you're developing this, but what happens after the client gets to touch this? What happens after the server does X, Y, and Z? When the customer gets this, if you're standing in for the customer, when the customer gets this piece of software, where will they feel it? How will it make them feel? And where will that be? Using a lot of those questions and stuff like that really opens up and helps if you can find a product owner that wants to be helped.
Mm-hmm.
But
There's so many times in organizations they think we can just swoop in and fix things. Like it's not about relationships and connections and it's a complex system. You can't just like plunk in and teach a class and suddenly have things fixed.
well, it's the plunk in, talk to 7 people and change the company.
Right.
I'm going to talk to 7 people on one team and they're going to be able to fix all of my problems. And I'm like, that's not how that works, man. It's one of the reasons I really wanted to try to switch over to this kind of corporate therapy and working with small companies and talking about, okay, well, let's talk about what's best for your company.
Mhm.
And I can give you lessons about what other companies have done, but that probably or may not work for you. And let's talk about what you really want. What will, for you to feel really good about your company, or for you to feel like you won with your company, what would that take?
Mhm.
What would you have to be like? What would your company have to be like? And getting back into those clean setup questions really, really helps.
Mm.
So I'm not doing it in the classic repeating, I'm very dirty with the clean language, but the essence of it there has been beautiful.
Like inspired by
Yeah.
clean questions.
Because like if I'm just repeating back to them and everything like that, and just like where in your body do you feel the user story? They're really not going to take me that seriously.
It's in my foot because I want to kick it.
Yeah.
John, do you experience that when you work with clients? And I imagine you're kind of limited in what you can say, but like you're able to frame the work as a consultant that like you're not going to come in and fix things by talking to three people. So how's your experience?
So I generally only work with organizations where the people that I'm working with can make kind of those big decisions, both structurally. And then I use something similar to clean scoping called Agile scoping to kind of really focus on outcomes. So I try and move completely away from kind of problems and fixes into outcomes. And then from that, create just a backlog of experiments that the company wants to try that all help try and meet those outcomes. I think what we're seeing in the industry is a move away from any kind of agile terminology quite quickly. So it'd be interesting to see what replaces it. Hopefully, it doesn't regress to something less humane. I think that's the big concern, especially when people like Elon Musk are getting a lot of space in the media.
Yeah.
So I think that's the big focus is kind of okay, Mark, you're moving away from calling it agile perhaps, and I think that's an interesting move, but kind of the essence of what agile is still there, right? And I think that's the important thing.
I've been toying around, and Sarah will let you know, I've got disparate interests that kind of all lead together. And I'm working on trying to work on a kind of a paper. I hate to use the word manifesto, but I really like the idea of bringing the Montessori method into tech management.
Mm-hmm.
You have two product owners / scrum masters that work with a team of 20, and their job is to one coalesce around that where they look like teaching assistants and things like that. You have senior devs, mid-level devs, and junior devs all working together on almost a Kanban board of tickets that they can pair with and they can teach and they can, do everything like that. And then there's a separate team that just builds tickets. You have your marketing department, your product, and all of those that are creating the tickets and putting that so far out there. So one of the things that I didn't get was XP is so big on pair programming and Agile is so big on pair programming, but we have one guy for the entire business. That didn't quite make sense. So I'm trying to work out all of that and trying to get to some of the things that Agile doesn't really cover. How do you finance that? How do you deal with that with HR? So that's another one of my crazy projects.
So instead of like laying out toys like you do in Montessori, you're laying out the work for people to pick up.
You're laying out the puzzles.
Oh.
And that's what I would call is the user story tickets are the puzzles.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is. It's like problem solving. Yeah.
We as little monkeys love to problem solve.
I definitely do too, to a point. And then I need a snack and a nap.
Don't we all, Sarah? Don't we all?
True secret to professional success. That's how we'll market that. So we're about out of time, Mark. Is there anything, can you tell us some ways that people can find out more about you or connect with you?
I'm going to be starting up my consultancy called Missing Monkey, probably beginning of next year, because I want to make it so that the name's mostly the consultant is missing. You guys did the work. I'm just there in the background. Otherwise, most of my social media goes off the name TRG4004. And you can find me on most anything rambling about bad things, making bad jokes. I'm still forever trying to get back into doing stand-up. So it's a lot of puns about tech.
I believe it. And working with you, we were always in stitches laughing at whatever random thing you said. So I
Yeah.
bet that's a fun thing to
A
follow.
real life Dilbert.
Kind of. Less tie.
Okay, well, thank you, Mark, for joining us, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Hopefully, we will see you again soon.
And remain clean.
Yep. Bye.